Just recently, our youngest daughter, Sariana, just got her license and wants to drive, wants to get a job, all that good stuff. And as a responsible parent, one of the first concerns you have when your kid starts to drive is, are they going to wreck my car? And so what you do as a responsible parent is you go out and you try to find the cheapest, most reliable car you can, buy your kid it, so that if they wreck the car, well, they're not wrecking your car. And so for Sariana, that car is a 2010 Hyundai Elantra. And the car works great, everything's good, except for the radio is shot, the radio is shit, the radio is garbage, it doesn't work, doesn't power on, nothing. And because this is a 2010, there's no backup camera. And thanks to the advent of the Android-based head unit, it is easier than ever to install a car stereo. I should know, I've been doing it since 1995. So anywho, let's get started and get this thing moving, because, well, nice thing is these are quick projects. The camera that I gotta run, the rear-facing camera that I gotta run the wire for, that'll take a little bit longer, but I know when I did the head unit in my dad's Tacoma, it took 20 minutes. So let's get started. Head unit in question, and because of the beautiful Hyundai Elantra dashboard system, this actually came with a whole replacement bezel to match the dashboard. So we got to take out the dashboard, bezel, and the radio to install the new one. Now the nice thing about these kits is they usually come with some sort of bezel popper, such as this. Now I have my own kit, but I figure for the sake of this video I would use the kit they provided, so you guys at home can see if you were to get one of these stereos, and going to rely on their tool if it would do the job for you. So let's see. So as I was saying, the wire on this harness is hard to pull out, and I don't see any push pins or anything of that nature. I will show you this. So in your yellow one, there is a push pin right here. You gotta compress that to release that one, and there should be a release on this one, but it looks like the previous owner inadvertently broke it off. But because I need to, sadly, this destroyed part of the clock is going to go into the new interface. I guess I'll have to order one of those online and replace that in the future. But we're going to continue with the removal of the radio. But one of the things we have to do is remove these air conditioning vents, because they're going to go on the new interface, as well as figuring out how this emergency light button pops off, because that's getting transferred as well. But first, pizza's here. I want to go eat. And you're saying, Don, why do you have glasses on? Well, back in June on my birthday, I got my eye exam and everything was cool. And then 2 months later, my front, my far side of vision went blurry. So basically, I need readers, and I don't have readers when I have my contacts in. So I took my contacts in, put my old glasses in, so I have better up front, because I could not see those tiny ass plugs. But anyhow, we'll be right back. It's amazing how much smaller head units are nowadays opposed to what we were taking out in the 90s. It is so much easier to install a car stereo nowadays. Most of them have some universal kit on them. The radios are small, they're basically cell phones. Once you get the your way around the holes themselves. Okay, a lot harder than it needs to be, but here's what I'm talking about. So you got these little locks on the side, and that one's broken off, and that one's broken off. This one still has them on both sides. So basically, when this is plugged in the radio, you're gonna squeeze these guys in. Where you can see it. You're gonna squeeze these guys in from up here, right? Got little squeeze harnesses. And sadly, these are broke off, so it made it a lot harder. Okay, so now we got to transfer these air conditioning vents, this whole system right here, pop those off so we can install it into the radio bezel. So that's what we're going to do now. Probably be easier if I use my drill on this. But once again, we're in Florida, and now there's probably some really dry rotted plastic. I'm not worried about the bezel because that's getting replaced, but I don't want to break these louvers and these air conditioners, so I'm just going to undo them by hand in an effort to preserve all this stuff the best I can. Now, I wouldn't say this is a tough job by any means necessary, but I would say make sure you got plenty of small blade screwdrivers and such. So you can get down here and pop these tabs out. Here's an example. So right here, I had to pop this tab out to release that. So this is the whole bezel we want. So we got this one bezel here. These three screws. That is the same thing over here. Pop that off. So now we're not done with this. Got to remove the hazard light. Now this does kind of suck because this is an old hazard light. It's got a brown hue to it, whereas this bezel is all black. But I guess it really ain't gonna matter because the dashboard kind of has a brown hue to it. So technically this bezel is not gonna match perfectly. How I just did that, you have, once again, squeeze tabs on the side. I just basically squeeze them in, pop right up the front. So now, take this guy. Actually, color matches pretty well. Now, because we gotta put this down, it does have a screen protector on it, but we don't want to risk anything, so we're gonna put some foam down. Here's your roller wheels. Here is the gap for your roller wheels. So obviously, that's the direction I'm going to go. My button popped out. I have to put that in more securely here. So, okay, that's the wrong side because it doesn't match up. That is the correct side. It just pops in there like so. Take our screws. Rinse and repeat over here. Put this guy in. Throw him down. Magnetic screwdriver. So much easier. So, based on the harness and what I pulled out, I know it's probably going to be this one. So, look at this, line it up. Yep, think the next one is the gray one. So there you go, that's plugged in. That's going to be our main source of power. So that one's plugged up. Don't need this one. There we go. Now, I did go back and order her a new clock. This one looks so poorly. Okay, so first thing we want to do, I guess you can see it or not, is we are going to remove this clock right here that we had already taken out, and I'll show you why we're removing this clock. So as you can see, or maybe not see, that is all crunched up, and I got her a new one off eBay for like 15 bucks. So yeah, you can see where it overheated and got all bubbly. So I got a a new used one from some junkyard off eBay. Let's take a look at this guy. So yeah, we can trash. There's the old one. There is the new used one. And so we're going to pop this guy in real quick. So make sure this guy's right side up. Should be a direct replacement fit, which it appears to be. One of the things you may want to do, if you are a fan of FM radio, or a person whose car this is a fan of FM radio, you'll want to go online and find you a radio antenna adapter for the 2010 Hyundai Elantra. This is the first car I've ever been into. Well, granted, it's the first semi-recent car, but this is the first car I've been in where there is not a standard antenna wire. So this is the antenna wire harness, which obviously ain't gonna work for what we're trying to do. Actually, I'm sorry, this is the antenna wire. So this is the factory antenna wire, which is not going to plug into the radio. You need some sort of adapter. But my kid's 17, she don't listen to the radio, she could care less about the radio. Saddens me, concerned I worked in radio for all these years, but she doesn't care. Okay, the other thing we need to do, which that we didn't do the first time, here is the microphone plug. This is important if your person is going to be using hands-free, because you need a microphone in order to go through the system. So even though you won't be using any of this harness except for this black cable, you need to plug this in order to hook up the microphone. So we're going to plug this wire in now. So now we have all these guys on here, and we only need the wire right here. What I'm probably going to do is I'm going to get some zip ties, and I'm going to zip tie this all together and make like a single harness. And so now we need to figure out where we're going to put the speaker into the speaker microphone. It's basically the equivalent of a lav mic that you would use back in the day. Okay. Auxiliary, subwoofer, auxiliary in, audio out, video out. It's video out. We already have our video input. Now, I do need to hook this guy up. Find the cable for that. Reverse. So we need to splice this guy into this for the reverse camera power. So we need to get a butt splice for that. Now I forgot to hit record because I just got back from the auto parts store, but we hooked our reverse wire up to the red wire. It's part of that video cable that goes to the back. From what I understand by looking at a YouTube video, on the back side, we're going to take the same wire, we're going to splice that into the reverse light wire. So when you put your car in reverse, it sends a signal up here, kicks off the reverse input, switches your camera over to reverse mode. I'm sorry, switches your radio over to reverse mode so that you can see all of the activity behind you. Okay, I'm going to tape this together so that it doesn't get unplugged while I'm running this wire underneath the carpet. Which, to be honest, the entire process of installing this radio, if you've ever installed a radio, is super easy. The hardest part, biggest pain in the ass part, honestly, is the reverse camera. And to be honest too, the microphone and the GPS antenna. Now they're not a pain in the ass because it's hard. I'm just gonna set this back in here for the time being, so I don't want to risk damaging the radio. It's a pain in the ass because I really wanted to run them up through here, but I know there is airbags behind there. And so now the problem I'm trying to figure out is where I'm going to run this GPS kit wire, which I might just come up and stick it here somewhere if I can make it not look hokey. I don't know really where I'm going to stick it. I wouldn't mind popping this off and putting that microphone behind there. I don't know if that pops off either. So now the problem is, not the problem so much, but now the fun part begins. And now it's going to be running these wires back to the back seat. First things first, snip our zip tie. There, there. So we ran the wire through here, up in here, found a little passage through the seat. Got that done. Pop this guy back on. Done. Okay, ignore the cat. We got this off of a nice Asian family. This is the compartment that sits on top of the dashboard. It's broken, it's all messed up, so I'm not gonna feel bad about this. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drill a small hole in the base of this, and I'm just gonna put the GPS unit and the microphone in here, and maybe even bring the microphone up, put it somewhere near the cat. But I'm gonna rest the GPS unit in there, since there's really no place for me to run it up top. I don't want to take the covers. My initial idea was to run it and have it up here somewhere nice and high, but once again, there's airbags back there. I don't want to mess with it, so I'm going to put it right there. I'm just going to have it resting inside this cat at the top of the dashboard. So that's our goal. I'm just going to get a drill hole big enough so I can pop that in there, and we'll move on to life. Right here. Now I had a nice paddle fit, but I don't know what happened to it, so just ram it out. Make sure this guy fits through there now. A bit bigger. So this guy sits up in here like so, right? So take him down here. I'm not even going to stick it. I might actually also, so I'm going to probably stick that up there like that. But and then the other thing is the microphone, right? Looks like he's going to come out through here. And he gets screwed back into here. And then obviously we're going to clean up the wires. And same thing with our microphone wire. And right up here as well. Actually, you know what? Just to make sure it don't get pinched, I'm going to run that behind that black thing. There's a lot of space in this compartment to tuck wire up, so we're going to take full advantage of that. So now we have this wire running down behind there. He's tightened down. We got our microphone wire without our dilly bopper on it. Can't find the dilly bopper, it's behind the console somewhere, but I'm not too concerned with it. Put him up in here like so. And we're going to rest him there like so. I'm going to feed a little extra microphone wire in there. I'm not sure where I'm going to put that yet. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take this wire and clean it all up. A lot of wire here. Not that I should ever have to pop this off again before this car gets sold to someone else at some point in our life. Should probably have it for a couple years, I'd imagine. So if we ever need to get back in here, we don't want spider's nest popping all over the place. So we're going to take a zip tie. Tie that up. shove him back in here like so. We want to tape that microphone wire into place. Now hypothetically I shouldn't have to pull this back out, but just in case I didn't hook the camera wire up correctly, I'm not going to put my clips in yet. I am just going to kind of set everything up in there, and then once we verify everything works, then we'll plug our clock back in, we'll insert our new clips, and we'll be done with this radio. This has been basically a two-step process for me. I did the radio one day, and I knew this camera and the GPS part would take a little bit of time. This wire here. Ideally, you want the camera somewhere here, and you want to tap into the reverse wire there, which I got to figure out which one's the reverse wire. So I'm going to need to get me a wire to go over here to tap into that reverse wire. But let me sort out, I'm hoping I can pop this cap off here and do something with that and attach that camera there. So my first goal right now, before I do anything else, is to figure out where this camera is getting attached, and then I'll get back with you guys. So you got your camera here, right? Goes through this harness. This yellow harness is running underneath the seat. This yellow harness has this red wire built into it that goes to tell the camera that you're getting a signal when the reverse lights come on. You got this other wire, you got a ground, and you got to splice into the red wire coming out of here, and then into your source, which will be a reverse camera. So what I'm doing to test this, to make sure this works before I start chopping up reverse lights, is I've hooked it up, and instead of hooking it up to my reverse lights, I've hooked it up to my drill battery. So we're just going to put our camera here. And I'm going to go in here, turn on our radio, and there our camera is upside down. It's blue because it's got the protective cover on it, but at least we know it works, and we have an idea how this is going to work. And let me show you what I'm going to do to make this work. On the Hyundai, they got this reverse light that pops right out. I'm just going to splice positive, negative, run it to the camera, and hypothetically, that'd be the long and the end of it. But the problem is I got to figure out how to get the camera out here. So I think I'm going to pop these off and see if there's any sort of pass through here, because I really don't want to drill holes. So if we can get the camera mounted here, this power wires are just going to run through here and into there. And I just so happened to have ordered some heat shrink for another project. So we got heat shrink, and we'll try to get this done up right. I forgot to record it, but see these bolts here? Take these nuts off. This whole panel right here pops off, right? And then there's a boot. It's right there. Cut a hole in that boot. Ran the camera through there. We'll put these 4 bolts back on. And then we're gonna probably use that 3M tape that they came with to put it right there. And then all we gotta do is patch the wires in and we're done. So here's where we're at. I spliced into her backup light, black to black, red to red. I put heat shrink on the black, forgot to put heat shrink on the red. I didn't want to crimp it because I'm running out of wire. But what I did do is I added an extra pigtail off of the positive wire, and I'll show you why here in a moment. So we have our ground, power. I told you I ran that little extra pigtail off. And I got heat shrink, and that's going back to our video relay. So this power and ground is going to the camera, to here, and then this one's going back to the video, back to the head unit. Just got to clean all these up, put them up in there, and then mount the camera, and we're good to go. So we got the camera hooked up, putting these clips on that we talked about. Got plugging the new clock. I'm finally done with this radio install. So, turn this on. Radio works. Put it in reverse. Camera comes on.
Yay!
Put it in park. Brand new clock. Doesn't look like it was put through a microwave.
Yay!
And good to go. So that is how you install one of these Android radios in your 2010. It occurred to me as I was editing the video that my video footage of the final product was lost. So here we go. Got the nice new crisp radio that has the wrong time. So I guess we need to set the time on that. Okay. So here is your basic Amazon style radio. You can put, there are USB adapters I didn't hook up because honestly I don't want my daughter getting too distracted. There are USB adapters you can hook up so you can play video files on here. If you so needed to watch movies, you would load them up through either a SD drive or a USB drive. So that is an option. You can see how great the picture is on here. Obviously you can make your phone calls. Got your settings. She was saying that the camera needs to be adjusted, but yeah, so this is the full system here. You know, it has radio, Google Connect, all that good stuff. Turn it on, throw it in reverse, and there you go. But yeah, that is the system. Very easy. I think it retailed for about 120 bucks, so they're very affordable compared to what we used to put in our systems back in the day. But yeah, you're all set.
This has been a Digital 410 production.